Hey y'all, Boogie Night here, how's it going? And for once, I don't have any announcements tonight, so I have to go right into the meat of the entry. So let's talk about Skydance Redemption. Star Trek Beyond, which I saw the other night with Cat with No Hat? I don't know, everybody on this project has an alias, so why should I stop now? Sorry, Cat. So why did I call it Skydance Redemption as opposed to Star Trek Beyond right out of the gate? Well, let's not overlook the fact that Skydance not only did Star Trek the reboot Wrath of Khan, which was an okay movie, I'll get into that in a minute, but released a mutant monstrosity we like to call Terminator Genesis. Oh yes, think about that for a moment. But Skydance not only redeemed itself with doing Star Trek Beyond, but it set the bar for sci-fi action movies and for future ones. At least in my opinion. Now, I know a lot of old school Trekkie fans or purists who go, oh, well, this is not the same as the original series, this is not this is not... You know what? Go to hell. If that's your opinion, fine. But why the hell did you go see this movie if all you're going to do is bitch and moan about it? Because for a reboot series, it sets the bar, it does it fine. The characters are who they need to be, are who they are, the action sequences are good, the drama is good, and this is a very well executed movie. I think it did a great job, and I'm not even a huge fan of J.J. Abrams because he's all special effects and very static, paper-thin plot, much like James Cameron, but it works. It succeeds in trying to accomplish its job. And more importantly, Simon Pegg was the writer, who is not only a very excellent director and actor and writer, he is a Star Trek fan. He knows the source material, he knows the original, he knows Next Generation or Voyager or Deep Space Nine or even Farscape, if that's your thing. He knows what he's getting into, and I think that was the cement that put it all together. Now, I'm not going to try, well, I am going to try not to give away too many plot spoilers, because A, the plot is your stereotypical sci-fi action plot, but it's not what does the movie justice. It's the characters, it's the sequences, and overall, what you need to know is this movie has no breaks. This movie will not stop from the opening exposition to the closing exposition, and even the credits are at 100 miles an hour. And I think that is what's amazing, because a lot of movies, particularly of the action or sci-fi, have the action scene, drama, character development, more action, drama. It's almost like a tangent wave or a heart monitor that displays what's happening, that you can almost predict what's going to happen. This movie defies all expectations. Now, spoilers, I guess I should say, for the plot points. Distress call, they go to check it out. They get betrayed, they crash on a foreign planet, they lose their crew, they get their crew back. Final battle sequence, closing action. There you go. There's the plot in a nutshell. But what you really need to know is how the characters blend together with their relationships, and how the actors and actresses come into their own and develop their form to become the characters they're representing. Chris Pine is Captain Kirk. Zach Quinto is Spock. The late Anton Yelkin is Walter Koenig as Chekhov. And most importantly, in my opinion, Carl Urban is the DeForest Kelley that is McCoy. I freaking love Carl Urban as McCoy. He is the character, and in my opinion, he was my favorite of the whole thing. There you go. People have been asking me if I had a fanboy crush on any actors, who would they be? Well, I'm going to give you a two-for deal right now. I'm going to say one, Clayton from Cell Dweller, because I adore his music and I think he's a fantastic singer and recording artist. And two, Carl Urban. I mean, just from his personality to his mannerisms to his action sequences, he is the flick. And I think he did a superb job. And he redeemed himself for that horrible movie I saw a few months ago known as The Loft. which was easily his F movie. And particularly, you've seen in the trailer the relationship between McCoy and Spock during some of the sequences, and I think that was hilarious. Just the dry sense of humor between the two. And then, of course, you also had Kirk and Chekhov, and then you had Scotty with the alien version of Lucy Lawless as Xena. At least she reminded me of Lucy Lawless to the nth degree. I've heard some feedback saying she's kind of like Rey from Star Wars. No. She doesn't cut it for her. She's definitely got the Xena thing going on. The badass princess. And that's what works for this movie. And then you have the planetary battles, and you have the space battles that rival... I'm so going to get some hate comments for that. That rivaled the original Star Wars. That is 4, 5, and 6. Because it's working well. You have the on-the-site battles on the planet. You have the space battles. You have the characters. And I think it does such a great job for that. I'm trying to figure out how I can do this without giving away too many spoilers. Because I really think you should go see this movie. Even if you aren't a hardcore sci-fi action viewer, which I kind of that way. I prefer more of a good horror movie or suspense or drama flick like that. But this movie did it. It cut the mustard. And just like I said, everything comes together, particularly at the end. And just, so I talk about the characters, let's talk about the action sequences a little bit. There's one scene at the end, and I'm going to try not to say too much. The antagonist is flying through a space city, which kind of is this weird, jumbled M.C. Escher painting of a city. And you have McCoy and Spock in a ship chasing after the antagonist, and then you have Kirk, who is trying to stop something in a zero-gravity chamber, which can almost resemble the end of Inception, the way everything's going all over the place. It just works really, really well. And even the special effects, which a lot of action movies and sci-fi movies generally look like CGI just, pissed all over the screen, it worked. And the time was taken to cultivate, spoiler alert, the Enterprise getting destroyed, the almost biomechanical feel of the antagonists and their ships, because it really did almost look like, I don't know, the T-1000 had sprouted ships, because it had this very biological feel to it with the ships and how they're piercing the Enterprise and how they're working almost as a bee swarm and so on and so forth, and the timed attacks of it. The one thing that I really didn't quite understand was Krall, the antagonist. Not because of his concept of why he was taking revenge on the Federation and whatnot, but how he turned into the alien form that he is if he was once a human. It wasn't really explained. It wasn't like he ate some funky spiders and his skin changed color and he had this weird, almost psychokinetic power where he could drain life force from people and revitalize his form. That was never really gone into context. And I think that should have been addressed. But if all I'm talking about is minor character holes, as opposed to ripping the plot apart like I did after I saw Into Darkness or Avatar or anything like that, it's getting off easy. And the end sequence, I think, while predictable and not as over the top in a good way as I would like, it kind of solidified the poetic justice of the antagonist, essentially getting what he deserved, because karma's a bitch. But I keep going back to the characters, but like I said, that's what did it for me. And I love the interaction, even if it's a new character, like when Kirk first meets Jayla, aka Alien Xena, or the slow level of trust that Scotty develops with Jayla, or just the dry sense of humor between the ultra-logical Spock and the very surly, sarcastic McCoy. And I'm going to give you one example of that. You see this in the trailers. There's one scene on the alien planet when Spock and McCoy are on the alien world and they're surrounded by the enemy ships, and McCoy lets off this one line like, well, at least we're not going to die alone. And at that second, Spock beams up to another ship, to which McCoy says completely deadpan, oh, well, that's just perfect. I love that. And once again, that's something I see DeForest Kelley doing as McCoy, and I think Carl Urban nails it on the head. Damn it, such a good job. And just the young Chris Pine posing as the young Shatner, aka Kirk, I just think his ambition and his growing up, if you've seen the first movie, which I have, and I saw the second one, as you know, and the third one, you just see this perfect plateau. It just sets the stage. It's almost like, I hate to say this, if you've seen the movie Starsky and Hutch years ago, I saw it in college, and then you have Ben Stiller, who I despise, and Owen Wilson, who I despise, meet up with the old school Starsky and Hutch, and you kind of see their personalities blend together. You have that. It's just done well like that. You see them all merge together, but you have to go into this movie with an open mind. Otherwise, you're just going to become one of those purists and just grumble and shuffle your feet and go, this isn't right. So, go see it. Even if you have to wait for it to come out on Redbox or Netflix, you really should take the effort to see this flick. I mean, everything was done right from start to finish. And it's been a very long time since I've seen a movie that you cannot catch your breath on until the very end. And even after the credits, because the credit sequences were very action-oriented. Now, if you're faint of heart or faint of stomach, no, I wouldn't see this in 3D. I would definitely not. Hell, I'm not even sensitive up to the stomach or the heart, and I wouldn't see this on 3D, just because the motorbike scene, some of the space scenes, the crash landing scene, even at the very end when you see the Enterprise being rebuilt, it still has a very kind of almost IMAX-y feel to it. So, that being said, I hope I didn't give away too much information, and I'm sure I wasn't terribly vague because I talked about so much too much, but it's worth seeing. It really is. And I even encourage those, like I said, who are not of a sci-fi fan to go for it. I mean, action scenes, this was the space equivalent of the original Die Hard, in my opinion. Goofy humor, dry, subtle, heavy action scenes, and just the right amount of drama to keep everything going on. One final thing I'm going to touch upon. I know there was a lot of dirt going around about Sulu being a homosexual in this movie. You know what? If you're homophobic or thinking that's out of context, there is probably no more than a 5-second scene of him and his husband. It's not like they were going to the boneyard. It was a simple sequence showing family. So you know what? Get off your high horse, because this was not something that spoiled the movie, alright? Okay. So, that being said, that's all I got for tonight. I've got a really good off the rails coming at you this week, and so until then, y'all enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll catch up to you guys on the flip side. All right, peace.